Hello everybody out there in YouTube land! So today I'm doing another supervillain biography. This time I'm gonna take a look at the supervillain Prometheus. Now, a brief warning, this guy is a supervillain and he does some pretty terrible stuff, so be advised there are images and discussions of violence. So, Prometheus was created by Grant Morrison, the writer, and Arne Jorgensen, who drew him. Prometheus debuted in New Year's Evil Prometheus from 1998, and he returned in Justice League of America 16 and 17, as well as 36 through 41, and those were between the years of 1998 and the year 2000. Also, in the year 2009, Prometheus returned for Faces of Evil Prometheus #1. Prometheus then starred as the villain in a limited series entitled Justice League Cry for Justice 1 through 7. And this took place in September 2009 through April 2010. And this is where I first read about him. I really enjoy this series, this 7-shot Cry for Justice. I would definitely recommend reading it. It's a very powerful book and somewhat controversial. It has been collected into a trade back now, so you can read it all in one shot. Some people don't like it. It's like Amazon's Attack. You either really like it or you really don't like it. A lot of very intense things happen in it. And one thing I like about it is the characters convey a lot of emotion and act in a realistic way, I think. So anyways, Prometheus, his story starts off with him as a boy. He is the son of 2 criminals. His parents have committed murder and theft, and Prometheus is traveling across the United States with them until they are cornered by law enforcement, and they end up in a gunfight. They shoot at the police and they get gunned down by the surrounding police. Now, this event is so traumatic it causes young Prometheus's hair to turn white, and he vows to annihilate the forces of justice in order to get revenge for his dead parents. So, as you can see, he has the same traumatic experience of losing his parents at a very young age, the same way that Batman did. But this time, instead of the loss of his parents being caused by a criminal, it is caused by the agents of the law. And Prometheus himself, also like Batman, possesses no superhuman abilities, but he has undergone intense physical and mental training and utilizes an extensive range of equipment and technology. He uses common tools such as body armor and gauntlets that fire projectiles, but he also has a single-handle baton with different technological features and a helmet that, in addition to emitting a strobe light, is capable of hypnotism, and it can download the knowledge and physical skills of others directly into his brain. So the default setting on his helmet includes the fighting styles of 30 different martial artists, and no one knows where he got this information, but it allows him to duplicate the abilities of Batman and Lady Shiva, among others. So that's his battle suit and his helmet combination, and it's also equipped with artificial intelligence that can rapidly calculate and deploy a variety of strategies and countermeasures, and this has allowed Prometheus at different times to defeat entire groups of Justice League members simultaneously and by himself. And he also possesses this thing called the Ghost Key, which allows the villain to teleport himself and others and objects to another dimension called the Ghost Zone, and it can also be used to inflict total molecular disintegration on a single target, but Prometheus has only ever employed this function one time. So after his parents' death, Prometheus uses his parents' hidden caches of money, and he travels around the world developing his skills. He has quite an interesting life. He becomes an underground pit fighter for a while, he's a mercenary in Africa, and he even joins a terrorist group in the Middle East. And then he comes back and quote-unquote avenges his parents' deaths by murdering the police officer who killed them. And later, he locates a sect of monks that worship the concept of evil, and and Prometheus discovers their monastery has been built on an alien spaceship, and the leader of the monks is one of the creatures from the spaceship. So he kills the alien and obtains the ghost key from him, and he opens a portal to the ghost dimension, and that allows him interstellar travel, and he also builds a house within this void that he uses as his headquarters. So after this, Prometheus attacks the Justice League. He infects Steel's armor with a virus, and hitting the Martian Manhunter with a dart containing toxin destabilizes his ability to control his shape. He knocks out Huntress, and he beats Batman using his downloaded skills, and he uses his neural chafe to disrupt Green Lantern's abilities to use his willpower, and it's pretty wild. He ends up being caught off guard, though, by Catwoman because he wasn't prepared for her to be there, and he uses a story about there being bombs, and he ends up escaping into the ghost zone. So later on, he returns later as a member of Lex Luthor's second Injustice gang. Next up is Cry for Justice, and this is my favorite story arc that Prometheus is in. So Cry for Justice is a 7-issue comic book limited series, and it takes place after a series of superhero deaths. Freedom Beast, Gloss, and Tasmanian Devil are killed, and there are attacks on Barry Allen, Batwoman, and Crimson Avenger, and it's later revealed to be the work of Prometheus. So Prometheus impersonates Freddie Freeman, and he gains access to the JLA satellite, and he uses the teleportation device there to place bombs in the cities of the various heroes. So Prometheus gets into a fight, and he fights essentially the whole Justice League that's there. He maims Harper, he tears his arm off when Roy figures out that he isn't really Freddie Freeman, and he ends up defeating the Justice League and their allies. You'll have to read it. I often think of Prometheus, I mean, he's obviously a parallel to Batman, but I think of him as an alternate version of Batman, like an evil Batman. He's kind of like Owlman, but really he's just like Batman. If Batman were to fight the Justice League, it would go down very similar to how it does with Prometheus. He has a method of defeating every member in the League, so you'll have to read it sometime. I really recommend reading the 7-issue series, Cry for Justice. It takes place after the events of Final Crisis, so I'd recommend reading Final Crisis first, but you don't really have to. In any case, it's really good. He defeats members of the Teen Titans and the Justice League, and then he is finally captured by Donna Troy, and she's beating him really brutally, but she is finally stopped by Shade. And the villain then offers the location of the bombs, just like last time, for his release, but one of the devices malfunctions before they can, and it destroys one of the cities. Well, it destroys a large part of it, and Star City is the city that's damaged, and it suffers massive casualties. I forget how many, but I think it's like 100,000 people or more, and one of those is Roy Harper's daughter. So his daughter dies in this story, Red Arrow's daughter, and that's really controversial. That had a lot of people hating this book. If you're a fan of Red Arrow, it's really hard on him because he loses his arm, and that's why he has the robotic arm you see sometimes when he's Arsenal, and his daughter dies too. So that's really sad. In any case, Prometheus's ultimatum is met, and they let him go. But spoiler alert, he returns to his lair, and in the last page of the last issue, he is killed by Green Arrow, who straight up murders him. He shoots him in the head with an arrow, and he dies. So I think it's a really good story arc. It conveys a lot of emotion, the art's really good, and it has a lot of what I look for in a story. So after that, Prometheus has popped up a couple other times. He shows up in the New 52 to torment the Midnighter, and he was also briefly in the show Smallville, or no, sorry, he in the comic book adaptation of Smallville. So he shows up there, and he's also, there's a kind of a throwaway joke to him in the Power Rangers Justice League. One of the issues I actually have, I've done a review of it on this channel. So they have to dress everyone of the Power Rangers in like gear the Justice League is captured, and one of them gets to wear Prometheus's helmet. So that's all for now. I hope you liked it. I'll be continuing to do these super villain biographies. I'll probably kind of focus on ones like this where they're a little more obscure. I probably won't do, the Joker or Lex Luthor or anything like that, at least not initially. Maybe after I've run through some of these others. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being a part of DC Fans United. It's a lot of fun. Visit us on Facebook if you haven't, and as always, if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. Thank you.
End of line.